Hi, I'm Terry Murphy, the founder of the Women's Wisdom Network, Women in Business, Women in Real Estate, and In the Men's Room with Murph. And you know, every once in a while, you get blessed beyond measure and you meet a woman who you love more than life. And I can't tell you what a miracle it was that we met, because I'm a little girl from Chicago and she was a little girl from Tehran. Chances are we wouldn't be hooking up together. But I have to tell you, it was a gift from God. And I just cannot wait to share her with you. She and I met through the newspaper. Her name is Athena Uslander, and she is the CEO and founder of Silverland Bakery. Long story, but I literally picked her out of the newspaper back in 1987. Which it seems like, oh, were you even born? Don't you roll your eyes out there. Do you not roll your eyes out there, you young ones? But she was making brownies, and it was just serendipitous that I called her. I said, you need to be at this event. I want people to see your brownies. You're a brand new woman in business. So even back then, I was trying to promote women in business. Well, it's a friendship that continues today. And here's something else. I get to admire her more and more every day. Welcome, Athena Uslander.
Thank you, Terry. It's so nice to be on video with you.
Oh, I cannot wait to share you with all of my BFFs out there. And, you know, what an amazing story. And I want to talk about this, not just your success, but the enormous and limitless courage you had to have. So you come over to this country, you're born in Tehran, your parents divorced, yikes. You have a sister. Mm-hmm. And all you want to do, because you had a cousin or a youngest uncle who kept telling you about coming to the United States and going to college, which was unusual because of your background. Didn't they just want to marry you off to someone?
Yes, they did. Absolutely. The only issue was that my grandmother thought I was really ugly and that I would never get married. So she, at every opportunity, told me, honey, you're going to be with me. We're going to be together. I'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about it. You'll never find a husband.
I want everybody that's listening or watching this to know that fast forward a number of years later, this woman was one of the face of Dove for women over 50. That's how ugly she was. Yeah. Give it a break, kiddo. No, she is spectacular. She's very smart, but she was never ugly. Of course, all of us at 13 are not exactly adorable, except for those nasty little blondes who always look fabulous. But so you wanted to come to the United States. Tell us your story, because it's so unique.
Okay, so I was one when my mother, who had a big practice in Tehran, she was one of two, or maybe the only one, who had a gynecology obstetrics practice, and women in an Islamic society want to go to women. So she couldn't take care of me and gave me to my grandmother. And my grandmother loved me. And so she did the best she could. But in that household, there were 4 uncles. The youngest one was about 13 years older than me. And he just, talked to me and took me to American movies with dub, and, that were all dubbed in Farsi, actually, and always talked to me about how fantastic America was. And I really didn't know about anything. I had only seen things in pictures. And I was just fascinated. And he always told me I was really smart. Don't worry about your looks. We'll do something about that. But you're skinny and ugly. That was my label. I grew up knowing that I was skinny and ugly. But
I'm going to show everybody how ugly you were later, but go ahead.
And but he said, but you're smart. I think you can make it in America. Look they have Disney World. I saw pictures of Disney World. And they make these great movies, and there are schools there that have engineering, and you're going to be a great engineer, just like me. So I always thought I was going to be an engineer.
And how many degrees did you get in engineering?
I got my MS, I got my BS, and then my MS, and actually a couple of disciplines in metallurgy and mechanical engineering. So so that was something that I was raised with. So I never questioned it, because it was his dream for me to be just like him. And I never, when I went to college, everyone asked me, oh, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but everybody asked if I knew what I was going to do, what my major was going to be. And I always looked at them and I thought, of course, engineering. What else? Because those were engineering and medicine were the two disciplines in Iran that had any kind of value.
Exactly. So I just want to back up. So you come to this country alone at how
Mm-hmm.
old? 18?
17. Mm-hmm.
17 years old. Can you imagine, because those of you out there that have 17-year-olds, leaving Tehran and an Islamic society, coming to the United States, and the only school you knew about was Southern Illinois University.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yep. Yes,
And so she
absolutely.
gets here, she knows no one. She speaks Farsi, not exactly, the easiest language on the planet, and had no idea that you could wear shorts and a tank top, that you could, color your hair any color you wanted, that you could browse around a school library, take out a book for free, and that people just walked around like freedom was air.
Yeah.
How did you
That's that is to me to this day is the most fascinating thing that I came here and I thought this, this it's unbelievable that you can just go outside and you can walk around without anyone bothering you or anyone questioning that you are wearing a short skirt or anyone, just the freedom, just breathing free air, being able to be a waitress. To me, I became a waitress and thought I had the best job in the world. Just being able to do things without someone questioning you, your ability, your looks, your whatever it is. And so it
something we take
was
for granted?
absolutely, I'm sure Americans, people who were born here, I've talked to all my friends, and they look at me to this day and say, "Really? Was that the thing you were taken with?" Yes, it was. It was the most amazing thing, freedom.
Oh my goodness. And I'm so glad that message is here. Well, you thought to yourself, you don't have any qualifications. You don't even speak English. It didn't matter. You got a job and then two more jobs and you just kept doing it. And then you graduated with your master's, which was
Mhm.
terrific. And then you got married. Now, this is kind of an
Mhm.
odd part because there you are, not just descendants of Muslim, you're Muslim and he's
Yep.
Jewish American.
Yep.
Okay. 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 But you had your mother's blessings, and that's amazing. She must have been a very progressive woman.
Very, very progressive.
And you even won over his family, right? But you got, there you were. I'm going to be an engineer. So you get this job as a design engineer.
Mhm.
And what happens?
Okay, so just to back up a little bit, I didn't exactly get their blessing. They
Oh,
threatened to disown him if he married me. So at the beginning, it was pretty rough. And then eventually we got married, and they realized that I was a very good daughter-in-law, and I was an engineer, a pretty prestigious job. I had a very good salary. But, this office, there were, I don't know, 30 plus men, the secretary and me.
all right.
And which is the way college was. College was absolutely all men, all boys, country boys, hillbillies, whatever, just boys. And me from Iran. And I barely spoke English. And, I intentionally chose all general studies that didn't require much English because I didn't know it. I remember I took a philosophy class, and at the end of the day, at the end of the class, it said you have to read 60 pages. And I thought, I went to him, I said, did you say 60 or 6? He said 60. I said, well, I don't think so. He said, well, you don't belong in this class, honey. So I dropped it. So I ended up taking all calculus, physics, chemistry
Okay. All the
classes.
hard ones. Okay.
No, all the ones that I could handle, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got married to Charlie, and he's Jewish, and the whole world of not being a part of it. It was
It was
it was
challenging.
very,
It was challenging. I remember.
yes, very challenging. And on the other hand, I had my own family in Iran who was so proud of me for being an engineer. You know, they thought, here she is, you know, even though she didn't have any looks, but she went into the world of, you know, all the brains, you know, where, you know, you had to have something to make it as an engineer. So then I realized that I was very unhappy, that I just, you know, this world of men and engineers. And, you know, when you think about engineering as a child, you think the biggest bridges in the world, the tallest buildings in the world, all the innovations and everything. But the real world is when you're a structural engineer, you're designing highway bridges.
Nobody wants me to help them do that because the bridge would never hold up. But even, okay, so it
Okay, so
was,
I wasn't designing Golden Gate or, you know, the things that you remember as the world wonders of engineering. I was designing St. Louis highway bridges that are, I think, I-270 or something, entering into St. Louis. So nothing fancy. And after a while, it became very redundant and not very exciting. And that wasn't my idea. I kept thinking, you know, I have one life to live, and I'm going to Springfield, Illinois, to work on some silly little thing that no one is going to know 10 years from now. So I decided I have to do something else with my life, something that I'll be proud of. And that's why I quit.
so you quit, and of course, soul searching, obviously, because you didn't really feel like you were a salesperson because you couldn't sell bubblegum in front of your grandma's house. And so here you were thinking about it, but you remember, and you know, you also had and this is important to your culture, losing the respect of your family if you fell flat on your face. So you decided to do something that Debbie Fields decided to do, and that is.
Well, what I decided was that, you know, from the beginning, I was an entrepreneur. When I think back to all the days when I was a little girl growing up, I always wondered how it would be to do something where I engaged other people to buy or be interested in the product that I had. So that's why where you were talking about, you know, I remember going down the block and buying a bunch of gum with the money that my uncle gave me. And I spread the tablecloth on the ground in front of our house and put these packs of bubble gum. Well, what I didn't realize was that a block over, they could buy the bubble gum for less money than what I was selling it for. So then at the end of the day, when nothing moved, couldn't sell one pack, I realized the first lesson in
First
business.
lesson yeah. Oh my God.
So you know, I was telling you before we started on this that when I was in Carbondale, I was out with my friend at a bake sale, and I saw brownies for the first time. And I thought, what are those? And she said, why don't we buy one? Have you ever had them? I said, no. So we had a chocolate brownie, and my God, I thought I would died and went to heaven. And then afterwards, could not find brownies anywhere because they weren't sold at the time out, you know, in stores the way they are now.
Wow.
Or chocolate chip cookies. So Mrs. Fields was, as we know, a pioneer. As I think I was in a way, I think as far as I know, we were the second company to start selling brownies. But so backing up, I decided, you know, I wanted to have my own business. And to do that, I had to quit engineering and get into the business of baking. And we didn't have a lot of money. So this friend of mine who was selling brownies from her apartment, she and I talked about it. And she said, you know, I'm looking to open a store. And so it started then. And we each put in $7,500 and started in a 400 square foot space in Elmwood Park, Illinois, and started making these brownies. And I remember these little Italian ladies, because that's a very Italian suburb of Chicago, stuck their heads in and said, what are you girls doing in there? And I remember thinking, why is she asking that? And I would say, we're selling brownies. They say, what? Brownies? We'd say yes. And they would just shake their
Shake
heads
their
and
head.
walk away. Yep.
Yeah, because they don't eat
So,
brownies. Yeah,
yeah.
but so thus her name was Ann Silver.
No, it was Lisa Silverman.
Lisa Silverman. Okay, and so
Yes.
that's how Silverland came around.
Came about. Exactly. So we combined our names to come up with Silverland. And we, talked about other names, but everything was taken. And so Silverland was the safest choice. And then we stayed with it. And it was called Silverland Brownies at the time because that's all we had, the only
I know.
product we had.
Right. Well, then you branched out because you I mean, you think about that. You had two little girls. Uh,
Yep.
you're building this business, which we all know entrepreneur, it always looks a lot easier on the outside than it actually is. You develop it, you wind up being in places like Olive Garden, Nordstrom's, uh, Border Books. I mean, hello, that's a pretty big leap from
Yep.
somebody who could build bridges who's now making brownies and cookies. And that's when I found you, because I thought it would be a great customer gift because you could literally mail a box of
Hmm.
these beautiful brownies, and they were delicious and still are, for a very affordable price as the thank yous and referrals and whatever. So that's how our connection started. But you've come a long way, and then you had a son.
Hmm.
He is gorgeous, if you want to look him up. But you separated from your husband, and now you're a single mom with all these kids
Hmm.
and a business. And then didn't Lisa kind of get bought out of the business or leave or something?
Oh yeah. Well, Lisa left actually in the first year in 1983 after we started the business. Um, her husband, who was a pediatrician, got transferred to San Francisco, and at the time, talk about showing our ages. Um, there were no emails or long distance phone calls were very expensive. So she moved to San Francisco, and I had to buy her out for the same price as she came in with. And so I was the sole owner at that point. And so, we moved from the 400 square foot to 1,000 square feet to make ourselves look more impressive. So we were in the old Zenith building, looking like the whole building belonged to us. What it was, we was just at the 1,000 square feet, and it was a disaster. It was so hard to deal with the landlord, and I remember, going to trade shows, and one time I remember Long John Silver's was very interested in our product. So they said they wanted to come and look at our plant. I said, okay. And I went in with them, and they came in and they said, okay, should we get on golf carts? Do you have golf carts, or how do we get around? And I said, no, actually, that's the end, the wall. I said, that's the end of our, they said, oh, is this your sample making
Room. Yeah.
facilities? No, this is the whole plant. And I remember their faces just dropping and thinking,
Too
okay.
small. Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Exactly. So we were tiny and trying to sell to big businesses. And so to do that, we had to just grow. And growing pains, as you know, are very difficult. And it took us a while, but eventually we started selling to big chains,
Yeah,
food
you did.
service chains.
Well, tell us the story about your niece visiting from Germany.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, my niece came in, and she loved our brownies. But I was in downtown Chicago, and I thought, hey, what do you want? You can have anything you want. There's Chicago pizza. There are all kinds of things Chicago's famous for. I said, and Athena, what I really want is a chocolate brownie, one of your double chocolate brownies. I said, well, we're going to go back in a half hour, and I'll take you to the store, and you can have all of it. I said, no, I want it right now. That's the treat I want. So I had to look up the closest store, which there was a Ghirardelli chocolate, and we made brownies for them. And I said, okay, we can go. And so we had to go and buy the same brownie for 4 times the price because that's what she wanted of all the
Yeah.
things.
But she would fell in love with it, and that was it.
Yep.
So but
Yep.
you also learned that there needed to be options because she was vegan, wasn't she?
She was vegan, but she was eating our brownies because she liked them so much. So I thought, hey, you know what? I got to get into looking at, people's diets and what people want these days. And so I came up with a vegan brownie, which as it stands now, it's just as popular as our regular. And my niece actually thinks that they're better than our regular brownies,
Well,
which
she
is
would.
something to say.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
there,
so we have a whole line of specialty products now for
you've
the
got raw bars, no dairy, no sugar. You've got no,
keto bars.
yeah,
We have
paleo.
paleo bars.
My goodness. Yeah. So there's something for everybody, but they're all good because you're actually hands-on. This isn't like you're not there. I've been there. You've got your sleeves rolled up. You're out there on the lines. And we'll talk about the kinds of people that you hire. But I want the women that are listening this particularly to hear this next part because we get these messages that are inaccurate as children. You're
Absolutely.
too small, you're
Hmm.
too skinny, you're too fat, you got a mustache and a matching unibrow. I mean, whatever. And that sticks with us about our self-value. So in 2006, Dove decided to do a huge marketing plan for women over a certain age because there was a real need for it. And you, again, serendipity, this skinny
Hmm.
little ugly but smart girl gets an opportunity to be one of the submissions for the Face of Dove. Tell us about
Hmm.
that.
Yes, a friend of mine who was a casting agent for in Chicago told me about a casting that was going to close in about an hour, and she told me, "Please get over there." I said, "Well, what is it?" She said, "It's for Dove, and they need you to be in a bikini." I said, "Well, Lorena, I have an underwear that's a granny's underwear and a bra that doesn't match, and the wires are out, so I don't think I can do it." I said, "Please, please do me a favor and get over there." So I did. I went to downtown Chicago where this casting was, and I was one of the last, I would say, one or two people in a room full of beautiful, Terry, I am not joking. These were beautiful women sitting there, the hair done and beautiful.
Yeah,
So I did.
you show up with cookie
I,
crumbs in your hair. Yeah.
I show up. I show up, and like you said, we live with our labels that are given to us as children. This little ugly, skinny girl shows up in her granny underwear, and I just went there and I said, "Sorry, I don't have a matching. I don't have a bikini." They said, "That's okay. We'll take your picture anyway." So they did, and then they said, "You'll hear from us." This was in October of 2005, and I never heard from them until I was at a trade show in Javits Center, New York, and I get a call, and I had those pink flip phone, and I say, "Hello," and Lorena says, "Athena, why haven't you been answering the phone? They've called you like 13 times or something." I said, "I don't know about this." She said, "Well, they want you to come for an audition." I said, "Okay, well, when?" So at the end of the show, a limousine shows up and picks me up and takes me over for pictures for the audition. And they take the pictures, and lo and behold, Athena gets selected
Yeah, but you
as,
didn't think you were going to get selected because you didn't look 51.
uh, yeah, I never thought that I was going to get selected because, well, it was, yeah, I thought I didn't look my age and that they were looking for somebody with like beautiful silver hair or, you know, typical beautiful and smart look, which I didn't have. But,
So just so
you
you
know,
know, if you didn't get to see that beautiful campaign that Dove did, they had a beautiful African American woman. They had
mhm.
women with silver hair. They had two of them. The one that actually was the face for a while was kind of white blonde. She'd obviously white blonded out, and then there was you.
Well, the white blonde they did for strictly for Oprah. She didn't
Okay.
go through they wanted to capture the procession of the steps as to what you have to do to get to. So they did it for Oprah's show that
Okay.
you've probably seen. Yeah, and then it just started there. We went on a worldwide tour starting in New York and
There was these these gigantic building posters with that gorgeous face. It's beautiful. We're going to we're going to get some pictures up, but you never thought you would be in it. And by the way, you were without anything. And this was, complete birthday suit. And Oprah talks about how there's not enough money. And, you do want to consider your background. That's not really common for Muslim women. You were first of all, breathtakingly beautiful, because when this woman smiles, all the lights in Vegas look dull. And there you were, but it sparked something for you. Here's an interesting fact that I want. The campaign, which featured women over 50 in all shapes and sizes posed in underwear, increased Dove sales, get this, 700% in its first 4 months, and gained media coverage in over 800 publications. It reached 35 million girls and women across 140 countries. Dove put a stake in the ground for the super, overdone pictures. They gave us
airbrushed photos of actresses.
They gave us permission. And they models. Talked about 97% of women it surveyed said that society is less accepting of the appearance of women over 50 for their younger counterparts. Well, everybody can look cute at 20. They just don't know they're cute at 20. And really, they were the first really one of the major media to do that. So that sparked something in you. And I want people to know that not only did you have the courage to come to this country alone, no support, having lived with family, no English, now speaks what, 4 languages?
Yep.
I know you speak Spanish.
Well, that was the reason why they chose me to go to Spain. Because I think I was the only model that spoke Spanish.
I would guess from the pictures you were the only one that spoke Spanish.
I mean, the Black woman is Brazilian, so she spoke Portuguese. So, but for some reason they did choose me to go to Spain, and that was an unbelievable experience. But this whole campaign was an unbelievable. It was something that was so close to my heart. It was something that I remember talking to these other women, the other models who were all over 50 and some over 60. And the fact that all these years, women our age have disappeared as if we don't exist anymore. You look at magazines that are for us because we are the target. We are the ones that make money. Well, at 20, you don't make money.
No.
So the target is us. But the model is skinny, 22.
Yeah,
exactly. It's between 15 and 23, because then after that you're too old.
And so, and that sets a precedent, because you can be in great shape, you can be healthy, but you can't look 20 when you're 50. I know that there's not enough duct tape out there that does. And so we don't see ourselves as beautiful. And you get that message that you got, and we all have gotten in some way, is that we're not attractive, we're not beautiful, we're too skinny, we're too fat, we're too hairy, whatever it is. And that sticks with us. And even to this day, I've interviewed 2 Miss Americas, and they both Miss America. Are you kidding? They've got the crown and the sash and the validation that they are beautiful. And yet everybody's idea of what's beautiful is completely different. I mean, completely different.
Exactly.
So, and those perfect bodies you see are airbrushed, and they're, a lot of that stuff. So talk to us about what happened with you, because you decided, you were the spokesperson, by the way, for the United States, Canada, and Spain. An amazing journey for this little girl from Tehran. You took that earnings, though. Tell us what you did with your earnings.
So I thought I was so fortunate to be in the position that I was in, that I had money. So this extra money that I was making, I took a chunk of that and started a fund for women and girls, because that was the message of this campaign, was about women and girls and how to raise the self-esteem of our daughters and the way they look at the media, and nowadays with social media. At the time, there wasn't a social media, but when you look at women and young girls, the way you grew up and I grew up, and the way they're grown up to this day in 2021, where everything you see is about being perfect,
Perfection.
airbrushed and perfect.
And not
Not,
only that,
not, yes, not to be old, not to be fat, not to be skinny, to be something that looks perfect on the screen.
and not only that, we don't have a team, and you know this having been through it. We don't have a team of, hair people and makeup people and wardrobe
Mm-hmm.
people and stylists. Those, they don't wake up. Julia Roberts said, she goes, I don't wake up like this. She said, people make me look like this. So you started the fund. What's the name of the fund?
The name of the fund is Athena's Fund for Women and Girls. And the whole purpose of it was to give grants to organizations that put that as their priority. Because if you look in the United States, I think there is 9% of all the philanthropy, private philanthropy in the United States is geared, targeted to women and girls. And yet, something like 60 to 70% of poverty is among women and children.
Wow.
So there was a real need for that. And beyond that, it's something that's very close to and dear to my heart, as it is to you. And that's why this is so important. It was
Well,
important for me to do this with you, because I know that you've made it your mission in life to.
Well, because I wasn't born out of this country, but I was born with people who were born out of the country. And it's again, your hood. How do you grow up?
Mhm.
I mean, I thought everybody had sausage and meatballs on Sunday at noon because that's was my hood, right? And so you learn that somebody else's opinion of you doesn't really count. Now, as young kids, we want to fit in. I just want to make a note that both of your daughters, Lila and Scheherazade, Miss Sherry,
Mhm.
are wildly successful, very confident, amazing women. And so you've done a phenomenal job with both hands tied behind your back. I don't know how you did this. And you do have a beautiful son named Cameron who gets to work with you. And
Mhm.
that's equal. How would somebody contribute to your fund if they wanted to, or donate to your fund?
Okay, so as you know, funds have to be managed. So we are in Oak Park Community Foundation of Oak Park and River Forest manages our fund.
Illinois.
Um, yes, in Oak Park, Illinois. Your donations would go a long way in um, giving grants to organizations that support women, whether it's single moms re-entering the job market, whether it's abused women in shelters, violence against women. And ideally, these days, I would love to help entrepreneurs to give them microloans / grants that they can keep and start a business. If you're a single individual, we can't donate. We can't give you a grant. But in other words, you have to either be incorporated or part of an organization.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, in fact, in April, we're coming up next week, we're going to have the applications open for
Excellent.
organizations to apply and women who can apply for a grant to start a business.
Well, I want to put in a plug for the brownies and the cookies because, oh my God, I don't care how strong your discipline is. If you get near them, you are so done. If somebody wanted to find out more about Silverland Bakery, where would they go?
So you can go either call us at 708 488 0800 or get on silverlandbakery.com and you can order
Whatever you
anything
want.
from, yes, decadent to very healthy to vegan, keto,
Yeah.
gluten-free, the whole
And they're all delicious.
rainbow.
They're all delicious, and you're delicious. And I can't tell. This gives my heart such joy to share your story. I'm just going to tell you right out, right now. First of all, I mean, having babies, you got to be brave. But coming to this country alone, not understanding English, maintaining business. How many people have you employed over the years?
Oh, way over a few thousand. I've said more than 5,000.
Yeah, and there you go, kids. I mean, one person made a difference. one little woman who is allegedly ugly and but real smart has changed the lives of hundreds and thousands of people by giving joy to them through her bakery. And thank God you're not building those dopey bridges, because that's not as much fun as creating new bakery items. I hope you'll join us again, because you're an enormous, endless inspiration for women. You have been for me. I am so grateful to the Pioneer Press because I found you in this little, here she is holding it. This is how I found Athena Uslander. And I want you to understand that somebody out there needs you. Somebody out there needs your encouragement. Somebody else, we need to step up as women, helping women. That's what the Women's Wisdom Network is all about. Athena Uslander, love you with all my heart. I thrilled that people get to see you. I'm thrilled of your successes and your continued successes. Just know that you're going to have to join us again. Too bad, too sad. Okay?
Love you. I would love to. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on the Women's Wisdom Network. Join us again for another great segment on how women help women all the time, everywhere, because we've got your back. Thanks so much for joining us.